Today we're going to be writing equations for lines when we are given 2 points on the line. There are 3 steps to being able to do this process. The first step is to put the points in a table to calculate the slope. So we have the points 2, 1 and 7, 11. We know our points are written as x, y. So since 2 is under the x, I'm going to write 2 under x, and 1 is under y, I'll put 1 under y. Same with 7 and 11. Now the next step is to find our delta y and put it over delta x. So let's go ahead and find the change in y. 1 to 11 is a plus 10. And 2 to 7 is a plus 5. And we can reduce that to have our final slope of 2 over 1. That is our m value. The next thing we need to do is choose one of the points to calculate the y-intercept, as was demonstrated on our day 1 notes in example 3. So let's write down the equation y equals mx plus b and fill in the parts of the equation that we know. I would like to pick the point 7, 11 because everyone loves 7, 11 Slurpees. So since we have a y of 11, underneath y is 11, underneath this y I will put in 11. And that is equal to our m we know to be 2 over 1, which reduces to simply 2 for the equation. In place of x, since there's a 7 under the x, I'm going to put a 7 under this x. And then we're going to write the plus and the b. Now we're going to simplify the equation. We get 11 equals 2 times 7 is 14 plus b. To get the b all alone, we are going to subtract 14 from both sides. I'm going to go up here where I have some room. 11 minus 14 gives us negative 3. Our 14's cancel, and we bring a b down. Now we know our y-intercept is 0, negative 3. We now know a slope and a y-intercept. So we can write our equation in the form y equals mx plus b. So let's go ahead and do that now. So the y stays. It's equal to our m value of 2 over 1, or just 2. We multiply that by x. And since we have a y-intercept of negative 3, we can just write minus 3. So that's our first example, how to write an equation for a line when we're given 2 points on the line. Let's go ahead and look at example number 1. Example number 1 is passing through the points 1, 8 and 4, 2. So we're going to start by finding our slope using a table. So make your XY grid. And then we're going to put in the points 1, 8. Again, x, y. So x is 1, y is 8. X, y, x is 4, y is 2. And we're going to find our delta y and put it over our delta x. So we can see the change in y from 8 to 2 is minus 6. And we can see the change in x from 1 to 4 is a plus 3. And then let's reduce that. Negative 6 over 3 reduces to negative 2 over 1. And that's going to be the m value in our equation. Now we get to do the y-intercept, y equals mx plus b. We're looking for the b value. So now we have to fill in everything else. So since last time I used the second point of 711, let's use the first point of 18. Okay? So I have underneath the y in the table is an 8, so underneath the y in the equation is an 8. Underneath m, I'm going to put the slope of -2 over 1, which reduces to just -2 for the equation. In the table, the highlighted point has an x of 1, so in the equation under x, I'm going to put a 1. And then we have plus b, because that's what we're trying to find. Let's simplify. 8 equals -2 times 1 is -2 plus b. To get b all alone, we need to add 2 to both sides. 8 plus 2 is 10. -2 plus 2 is 0, and then bring down the b. So that's our b value, and our y-intercept is 0, 10. Now we have an equation we can write. Our equation through the points 1, 8, and 4, 2 will be y equals -2 multiplied by x, and our b value is a positive 10, so we can do plus 10. Moving on to example 2. Now this one, I'm going to set up the table. I'm not going to put the first point in first because I always like to have the smaller x value come first in my table. -2 is smaller than the x value of 1, so let's put that in our table first. So under the x is a -2, under the y is a -1, and then I'm going to put 1, 8. Now I'd like you to finish up that problem before watching more of the video. Go ahead and pause the video and finish example 2. Now that you've had a few minutes to work on example 2, let's go ahead and see how you did. So we need our delta y. Our change in y is from -1 to 8 will give us a positive 9. And our change in x from -2 to 1 will give us a positive 3. And we can reduce that one. 9 over 3 does reduce to 3 over 1. And that's the m value or the slope. Now we're going to find the y-intercept. To find the y-intercept, we're going to choose a point from the table. I'm going to choose the point 1, 8 simply because there's no negatives in it. So underneath the y, I'm going to put the number 8. Under y is 8, under y is 8. And then we're going to have it be equal to the m value of 3. And underneath the x in the table, we have a 1. So under the x in the equation, we're going to put a 1. And then we have plus b. So now I have 8 equals 3 times 1 is 3 plus b. Subtract 3 from both sides. 8 minus 3 is 5. Bring down the b. Our y-intercept is 0, 5. So now we can write our equation through the points 1, 8 and -2, -1 will be y equals 3 multiplied by x. And our y-intercept is 5, so we will do plus 5. Now I'd like you to pause the video and complete examples 3 and that should be a 4 there. Examples 3 and 4. Watch on number 4 because you have less work than you think you do. And see if you can find out why you have less work than the other 3 examples we've done. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and work through those 2 examples. Now that you've had time to work through those examples, let's go ahead and see how you did. So I'm going to write the points 3, 0 and 12, 6. I see my delta y is up 6, so I'm going to put a 6 in the numerator. My delta x is plus 9. Let's put a 9 in the denominator. And we can go ahead and reduce that. 6 over 9 is equal to 2 over 3. Now for my point that I want to use for my y-intercept, I'm going to pick the one that has a 0. It's one of my favorite numbers in math is 0. So in the y spot, I'm going to put a 0. Under y is 0, so under y is 0. And that is equal to, the value of our m is 2/3. And x is 3. But since I'm multiplying by a fraction, I'm going to put that as 3 over 1. And then we're going to have plus b. So let's go ahead and simplify, bring down that 0. I can see that I would have a 3 over 3, which cancels. So I'm left with just 2 plus b. Subtract 2 from both sides. Negative 2 is equal to the b. So our y-intercept is 0, negative 2. And we can write our equation. Through the point 3, 0 and 12, 6, we have the equation y equals 2/3 x. And since our b value is a negative 2, we will just write minus 2. On to the last example. We have the points 0, 4 and 6, 34. So I'm going to put 0, 4 and 6, 34. So our delta y from 4 to 34 is a change of 30. And our delta x from 0 to 4, from 0 to 6 is a change of 6. And 30 over 6 reduces to 5 over 1. So our slope is going to be 5 over 1. Now, did you figure out why you have less work? You have less work because you were given the y-intercept right here. 0, 4, you don't have to figure that one out because it was given. Okay, so no work. Y-intercept is 0, 4. So now we can just write our equation. Y equals, in place of the slope, 5 over 1 simplifies to 5. And then we have an x. And since our slope is our y-intercept is a positive, we get plus 4. And that is the end of our notes for today.